Alright guys, today we're going to be reviewing the Camelbak HAWG. This is the Mil Tac edition of the newest 2013 version of the pack. I got a couple other packs here to compare it to. Camelbak Mule and a Mountain Smith Approach 35. I've been looking for an in-between backpack. Something with a little bit more room than a typical Camelbak, but something a lot less bulky than a full-size backpack like this Mountain Smith. I think I found a winner here with the HAWG. Right now I have it loaded up with a lot of my everyday carry gear and a little bit of gear that I take with me camping and stuff, so you can see what the pack is like with it loaded up with some gear. There's about, I'd say, 11 or 12 pounds worth of stuff in here right now, and I'll go through it and unpack it for you so you can see how much it holds. Basically it's a military style pack. As you can see, the MOLLE webbing down the front, a couple compression straps on each side. They used to have some MOLLE running down the sides of the pack. They did away with that. They just have two small loops right now on each side. You can clip a carabiner or two, or maybe run some other small bungee cord through. This pack is made out of the thinner 500 weight material versus some of your other military packs running the 1000. I actually prefer this because the material itself it's a lot better to handle. It's not as rough and stiff, and the pack itself actually weighs a lot less than some of the other packs made out of the 1000 weight. The front has a small compartment. I have my GPS camera. It's fairly deep. Runs about to there on the pack. The main front compartment. You can zip down about a little over 3/4 of the way and open up the pack. There's a little bit of organization on the front of in the front pocket here. You've got a large pocket here, another one here, and a few smaller ones. These two larger pockets, they don't run all the way down to the bottom of the pack, which is actually kind of nice because, as you'll notice, I've got some odds and ends loose items here that I can have at the bottom of the pack, and this stuff here that's a little bit more organized is up a little bit higher, so you're not digging this stuff out of the way to see this stuff. Down here I've got a lot of random stuff, really. Phone chargers, lanyard, pair of gloves, some aspirin, breath mints, jerky, always have to have jerky, a few protein bars, some paracord, some hand wipes, little toolkit that I carry, gum. So you can see it's got a good bit of space down below the main organization. This stuff here, there's a little Velcro bungee cord strap right here. Be great for a radio or something. I've got a mini-matic flashlight in here, small fixed blade knife, scissors. There's 3 fairly large pin pockets. I keep a small headlamp in this pocket here. These back pockets I don't really have much in right now, a few papers and stuff. But it's good to have a little bit at least a little bit of a way to organize some of your stuff in the pack. Let's move on to the main compartment. It's fairly large. Here's a typical folder, 8.5 by 11 paper inside of it. This is a smaller notebook here, not really a good reference. This is probably still got another 4 to 5 inch, about another 4 inches that it could go down in the pack. I'll show you that here in a moment. In the bottom of the pack, if the lighting is good enough for you to see this, I have 2 smaller pouches down at the bottom of the pack. First aid kit, and a little bit of miscellaneous survival gear, hiking gear type stuff. Place this folder back in here so you can see how deep this is. That's sitting all the way down in the bottom of the pack. You see you still got several inches up above it. Width-wise, that's pretty much all you're going to fit as a typical folder. You might fit a small laptop. 10 or 11 inch screens probably would fit pretty good. Inside it's got 3 separate loops inside the bag. Not really sure what these are for. I kind of like that they're there though. They give you an option to attach something inside the pack. Maybe if you had a smaller pouch that you wanted to attach up here, it'd be good for that. You could also run some small bungee cord inside, maybe strap something against the back of the pack. And this section, the main compartment, is bigger than it looks. It expands pretty good. You see everything I just took out of it. I actually still had room for a little bit more. I could have put a spare shirt or maybe a small packable jacket inside. Again, talk about the lighter weight materials. It's not quite as heavy as a lot of the other military style packs. I've had a few that were about this size, and it felt like before I even put anything in a pack, I had several pounds worth of pack. So I really like the material, but it still seems strong enough. I don't think you'll have any problems with it. On the back, there's 3 sections of padding. You get a little bit of airflow, but not. I'm not expecting too much. Other Camelbaks have a little bit more separation for a little bit better airflow, and are usually a kind of a mesh material. So this might hold up a little bit better, but you're going to have a little bit less airflow. The straps I actually like because they're pretty minimal. They're not. You got a little bit of padding, but they're not bulky like a full-size backpack would be. And this keeps the overall bulk of the pack down. Pretty good for the weight I have in it. Like I said, I have about 12 pounds in it, and it seems to do fine. It's fairly comfortable. You got the stern strap to go across your chest, a couple D-rings, attach various items. I don't have it with me right now. I already took it off. There's a waistband that detaches from the bottom D-rings here with Velcro, and it just has, it's not padded, it's webbing just like the bottom of the straps you see here with the same kind of buckle. I typically don't use those, so I took that off. The compression straps are pretty nice. They have a nice system for taking up the slack, little Velcro piece. And instead of having all this excess flapping around, you simply fold it up, close the Velcro on it, keeps the bulk down. They're pretty long. You could actually, I'd say easily, even have a small tent if you wanted to, or a ground pad if you really wanted to try to camp from this backpack. You probably wouldn't want to due to the weight. If you get it too heavy, these straps probably wouldn't be very good for an all-day trip. As a day pack, it's fantastic. It's the perfect size for that. Carries that amount of weight perfectly. Something I wanted to mention about these buckles that they use for the compression straps that I didn't notice before. This end of the strap is sewed into the pack, so that's non-removable. This end, however, it's a little bit tricky to show, but you can actually unsnap this end and take the buckle itself out of the MOLLE webbing. This is a very nice feature. It allows you to move it around if you really needed to. I mean, it's by default it's in the spot that works the best, of course, but if you really needed to, you could move those around. Down the bottom you've got a couple grommets for drain holes, one in the main compartment, one in the front compartment. There's 4 loops on the bottom. Again, you could use some other webbing down here, or bungee cord to strap on other items. On to the back is what you'd expect to see on a hydration pack, is your compartment for the bladder. It zips down again about 3/4 away or so on one side. I would have liked to have seen this zip down a little bit further, be a little bit easier to get the bladder system in and out of, but it's not bad. It works. Speaking of the bladders, they have changed them for 2013. They call this the Antidote. And it's a few of the features you're used to seeing on the Camelbak stuff. I think the mouthpieces may have changed a little bit. They give you a nice cover for the bite valve. There is an actual on and off shut off valve, but there's a quick disconnect on both ends. You can easily pop the mouthpiece off, and on the bladder itself. You can have the bladder completely filled up with water, pop the quick release off, ready to go. The fill mouth of the bladder has been enlarged a little bit, I think. The nice thing is it's now a 1/4 turn. Comes right off. You don't have to fuss around with trying to get it threaded as half your water is pouring out of it as you're filling it up. It's a little bit fidgety the first few times you do it, but once you get it lined up, they've got a mark on it and a little arrow to line it up. Give it the 1/4 turn, you're done. The thing I found interesting what they did was, I always have a problem with filling up these larger bladders of 2 or 3 liters. They just basically turn into a big cylinder, and it's really uncomfortable and bulges the pack out too much. With the new 2013 bladders, there's a seam that runs down the middle. It doesn't run full length, it's just this section here. This is to keep the front, the bladder from expanding as much this way. So you basically have 2 channels of your water. So this should keep it a little bit lower profile, make it a little bit more comfortable in the pack. Honestly, I haven't tried out the bladder itself yet, but I'm looking forward to that. I think I covered basically everything else. You've got your typical hole up the top of the pack to run your bladder hose through. There's also slots back here by each piece of webbing on each side if you want to run the hose out the bottom and up your shoulder straps. There's also, I believe these are used for radio antennas. There's right by the top carry handle, there's open up a little Velcro piece, and there's a hole here. Like I said, I believe they use this for the radio antennas if you're carrying a large radio device in the military. Carry handle's pretty good. There's no padding or anything, but it feels good. Again, they're keeping down the bulk without adding a lot of padding and stuff to everything. So that's, like I said, it's a mid-sized kind of day pack. I think it's just going to work out perfectly. This is, by the way, the foliage green color. You probably can't pick that up very well using a webcam to record this, but love the color. It's a little bit more low-key than your typical OD green, but in certain lighting conditions it's kind of gray, so it kind of blends in well, looks nice. On the Molly on the front, runs all the way up the front. You'll see they do have a patch of Velcro here, including over this strip of Molly, but it does still have each individual loop. I think that basically covers it. If I think of anything else, I guess it'll take a second video. That's it for now for the Camelbak HAWG 2013 edition.